Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Lupinranger vs. Patranger episode 14. Sorry if the lighting's a bit weird today. It's a little dimmer outside because it's rainy, so I have more artificial lights coming from all over the apartment, so it's going to seem kind of iffy and shadowy around my face, so I apologize about that. Anyway, about the episode and not reviewing the lighting in my apartment, episode 14 was a Patranger focus. It was a focus episode. Those are when it's focused on the Patrangers and not the Lupinrangers. It's called a focus episode. Just FYI, write that down. But yeah, so it's unusual because usually the Lupinrangers kind of take the front seat a little bit. Last week was pretty even because it was kind of focused on the two girls from both teams. But this really only had two significant Lupinranger scenes. One of which when they were learning about basically, you know, the gangler that they had to go after this week, and Kyogre, whatever his name is, did this little thing where he's telling him like, oh yeah, their Lupin collection item shrinks things, and he had like this little version of himself come up on the teacup, and they're shocked for a second, and then it was just a little doll. It was kind of a weird moment. It was like right between like, oh that's weird and that's funny. It was, I don't know, it was weird. And then like, when they show up in the battle, and they literally got the collection item they needed and then just left. I'm like, let the Patrangers take care of destroying the guy this week. But the primary focus was actually on Patra and Ichigo, and a little bit on his backstory on why he wanted to become a cop, because one of their driving forces for this week's plot was that whatever the Ganglers were up to this week wound up canceling a field trip at a school, and Keijiro made a promise to a kid that he would settle the thing, so the field trip was uncancelled, and it prompted these flashbacks of Keijiro having a field trip canceled, and then he tried to put a sword and shield on and destroy the criminal that was, not destroy, but, you know, kidnap the criminal that was kidnapped. That's, what am I talking about? Stop the criminal. Like, I'm just picturing this little kid like kidnapping a full-on thief. But anyway, stop the criminal that was doing bad things, and this police officer came to him and was like, oh, you know, leave that to the police. The police are the protectors, and that sort of inspired him. It was kind of a generic backstory, and I get what they're going for with like, oh, he was kind of wowed by these people can become basically everyday heroes and protect the city. But it's just funny that like the crux of it was a field trip. Like, what's your backstory? Like, he wanted to defend all field trips. I'm like, you know, they could just move the field trip. It kind of reminds me of that Ninja Steel plot where they're like, not the coveted camping trip, I can't go. Just go by yourself on the weekend. It's just camping. Like, you know what's better? Being indoors. But yeah, it was kind of funny. But I do appreciate that they didn't just, again, something I appreciate about the series is they don't just make fillers that have like no purpose, you know, and we learn about these characters that we're never gonna meet again in the show, that aren't gonna have any significance to the story, that we actually tied it back to his story. So it wasn't my favorite backstory. I wasn't like, oh man, I really like Keijiro now, but it was more like, okay, that was kind of neat. It was fine. It was kind of a funny moment though when he's making the promise to the kid. They did this weird like sound effect with his smile, like it was almost like he's forcing a smile or something. And he was trying to, you know, reassure the kid like the cop did to him when he was little, but the kid was a Lupinranger fan. Like even before he went up to him, you could see he had like the cape and a little cardboard version of their weapon, which actually is I think larger than the deluxe toy version you can get. But, and then I was wondering, I'm like, are they going to address that? I mean, they can't not address it, right? And then, like, right after Keijiro said all those words to him, he's like, I like the Lupinrangers better, basically. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, the main plot was actually kind of interesting just because it did something I like that they did before a little while back, which is instead of just having a straight-up Gangler of the Week, you had, like, a couple working together. So, like, you had the Gangler of the Week, which was this dude which was trying to basically prove himself or make his bones, whatever you want to say, by taking out the Patrangers or a Patranger or whatever, kind of like an assassin dude. He's trying to make himself up to the big boss. Like even the big boss was there watching this week, but he was working with this other dude who was a part of a set of Gangler brothers. That sounds weird, like you could buy them. And he's mad at the Patrangers because during a Megazord battle previously, his brother done got stepped on. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting and really cool way to make him feel like they're, you know, Gangler criminals out in the world, and they wind up coming up with this plan together. And, you know, one of them didn't have the collection item because he used it, and the other one, or, you know, because the Patrangers found it, and the other one, he just straight up used it as a distraction, which I thought was interesting, both to get the Patrangers out of the way, or the Lupinrangers out of the way because they're like, oh, we got our mission, we don't need to do anything else. But also because like they cared more about their plan than keeping their Gangler collection items. So I thought that was kind of a neat bit, just some neat stuff that sort of, you know, goes away from the status quo, which I always appreciate. This week was also the introduction of the Patrangers double item, just like the Lupinrangers got previously, which is the crane drill combo. We start with the drill, which is actually kind of adorable and tiny, and Keijiro's going underground. He gets quill poisoned by a trap they set up, but he makes it back up with the crane because that was the other half that they left under there, and he actually defeats one of them with just the crane drill combo, which is really cool. I really like that they haven't been doing it a huge amount, but I like that over the course of this like first quarter of the series, we've seen at least some unique battles that are more than just the straight up mecha battles. Like we got a couple like fight scenes and chases in the early episodes with the regular machines, and then like we got to see the scissors one in action, and then this one was kind of cool just to see him actually take on a monster with one auxiliary mech, especially since like the way he did it was like the crane created a ramp and the drill went up it and smashed the dude. So that was pretty cool. And it's basically a two-parter because we still have to debut the full-on mecha combo form, because you can't release the toy until you have the mecha form on screen, because that'd be a spoiler. Weird logic. But so that's going to happen next week, and then we'll also have some continuation from this plot, which is nice. So it's kind of like, it kind of wrapped things up a little bit, but it's also going into a two-parter, so it's like a 1.5-parter in a way. But yeah, this was a solid episode. Probably not an episode where I'm like, oh my god, it was so good, but it was just very solid focus on the Patrangers, pretty good introduction for the mecha, and at least I like that we got a little bit of nice Keijiro backstory. I'd probably give this episode an 8. Anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Dawson Ryder, signing out.